Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Life Forces Podcast. It has been quite some time, which I mostly planned. And I wanted to share with all of you something that I have been, keeping a secret from most of you for basically a year now. And I'm very excited to release this and share this with you and get it off my chest. So essentially, pretty much a year ago to the day, I would guess, I became pregnant and everything went well. And I gave birth in December to a quadruple Sagittarius. So I am now a mother. And I wasn't sure I was going to share this with all of you ever. I was just like, maybe I keep, my more personal family life more under wraps. Like, I don't really talk about my partner/husband that much. I don't really like tell stories about him or anything like that. He likes to keep things private, so I respect that. And at the same time, I don't think I'm going to become a mother who shares photos and stuff online or even much about my child, like here or anywhere else. As it stands now, like that can maybe change. But anyway, I just think that it's important for me to show up as me, and the new me or this version of me is now a mother. So I think it would be weird to hide that from all of you, to be quite honest. But I am happy and feel good about my decision to not share my pregnancy as it was happening. I'm honestly like a little, let's say, superstitious, and just being completely honest, putting it out there, I had a pregnancy loss in 2023 that was really, really difficult. It happened pretty early on in the pregnancy, like 6 weeks in. But yeah, I was just in shock when it happened and didn't process it until much after. And honestly, did a lot of processing about it in this pregnancy. So I just want to say my heart goes out to anyone who's experienced anything along these lines or knows someone who has. It's very, very difficult. And yeah, yeah, that's how we're opening up the episode. Okay. I'm just putting it all out there. I don't know. I have been reflecting a lot on the way I've been showing up, and I realized I was hiding a lot of myself, not just the pregnancy thing, which I don't really regret not sharing personally, because I think sometimes it can get a little weird when like acquaintances reach out, like even if they have the best intentions. I don't know. Sometimes it just is a bit strange, especially when it's such a tender, sensitive time, and especially for me, where I was really concerned about everything going well during my pregnancy last year. Yeah. So I also thought about, if I was getting really real with myself, all the people that I really admire, whether it's like online, in my real life, or whatever, all the people I admire are just very much them, and unapologetically so. And I just asked myself recently, like, okay, don't I want to be like them? Like, obviously I want to be me. I don't want to pretend to be someone else. But if I'm not sharing these things, then aren't I kind of being a little fake, And is that really benefiting me or anyone? No, not really. I don't think I'm ever going to be someone that really shares everything and really puts everything out there, because I don't really like the influencerification of online life, let's say. And I like having certain things private, and I also really like my time to process things on my own and then share them when I'm ready. I feel this way also about like responding to current events. Honestly, I don't really share a lot about my opinions, if I even have any, on my Instagram stories. It's just that's just not my thing. I think for other people, it's their thing. It makes sense. They like to respond to that kind of stuff. But I don't really do that in such a public way. If someone wants to ask me, I'm happy to answer, But anyway, that's a whole other tangent we could get into about, sharing things online and maybe feeling pressured into having opinions on certain events, aligning with certain beliefs, whatever. Anyway, we're not talking about that today, really. But yeah, I'm here today to give you this life update. So for those of you who, have been following me since like last year, even end of last year, when I said, hey, I'm taking like some time off, that's why, because I had a baby, which I'm super, super, super happy about. Just delighted. Like my life has changed in such an amazing way, but I'm still me. It's like I'm still me. I just have this extra layer of discovering things about myself and how I parent and how I exist as someone who has someone else that's completely dependent on them. I've never experienced that before, right? So, yeah, it's just a whole new way of living. It's not a whole new life. It's a continuation, of course, but it's just a different vibe. So even, getting this little slice of time on my own is so precious. That's one thing I've really come to value is any time I can get alone. And for now, only a few months in, that's been like, if my husband can take her out in the stroller after she's eaten for a little while and she's happy or she's sleeping, that's my little alone time. Or they go to bed earlier. I chill and take a shower in the evening, and then that's my alone time and go to bed after. So yeah, just I have such a way, 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 way bigger appreciation for any time I can get to myself, which is very important to me as a human, especially as someone with a 2-4 profile in human design. 2 is the hermit. So I really need my alone time, even now as a new mom. Even if it's like 5 minutes, it really makes the world of difference. If I can, pop out for a walk, or just if it's taking a shower after the baby goes to sleep, that works for me. Take a sip of matcha there. Yeah. So this is not at all an organized episode. This is just, I was going to share a life update anyway to sort of get things started again. But I just really had this epiphany yesterday regarding a lot of different things. I set very ambitious goals / intentions for myself this year at the top of the year, which I don't regret. I also set those goals in the context of having help and support from my mom, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. At one point, we were all like together in my husband's hometown. So there was a lot of time where if I wasn't breastfeeding, someone could take the baby, which I'm super fortunate to have. And I wish that for everyone, basically, like having that kind of family support is the most amazing thing. So I set all these ambitious goals, and I'm glad I did, because it shows me what I want. And it's very important to actually be okay with what you want and not tell yourself that it's not important or you can't have it. Yeah, like we can't always get everything we want when we want it, but it's good to have some sort of North Stars, intentions, and all of that. I never used to be really much of a planner. I was a little bit too go with the flow, if I'm being honest. But in the past few years, I've been a little bit more like, okay, we need to have some kind of aims, even if we don't get exactly there. And so, I had all these ideas for life forces, other things I want to achieve, etc. And yesterday I was having a conversation with my best friend, Sonia, who lives in Montreal. Shout out to you. She's also become a new mom recently. She's a few months ahead of me. So we have great chats and she's super helpful and supportive. And we both get the new mom stuff, which is really nice. And, I was just telling her, okay, like I restarted my part-time job at the top of the week, which is very, very manageable because it's work from home, it's flexible, whatever. But then, I really wanted to do this masterclass on the spring equinox in a couple weeks. And in order for that to be successful, maybe it can be successful in other ways, but in my mind, I do need to tell you guys about it, right? Either on the podcast or on email, Instagram, etc. Like I need to set at least a little bit of time to get the word out, right? And when I was thinking about it, I'm just like, and when I was talking to Sonia about it, I realized this is way too much too soon. And it's like, even if I want it really, really badly, my baby is only a few months old and I've committed to breastfeeding and also to parenting with attention to attachment and being really aware of that and wanting to be a secure person for my child. So that takes a lot of time and energy, obviously. And the thing is, there was part of me that thought, oh, it's going to be so simple. There can be hours or, parts of the day, chunks of the day where I can just breastfeed and dad can take care of everything else. Well, that's not always the case. Sometimes baby wants mother and that's it. And I can't do anything about that. And that's fine because I'm of the belief that children are humans. Not everyone really thinks that. From my perception, people kind of view babies as having, I don't want to say no agency because I think that is more of an older child phenomenon, let's say. I don't really know what the word is, but anyway, I respect babies as humans and not just like objects that we get to do whatever we want to. I don't really think that's fair. Anyway, that's my opinion. So because of that, and because I don't really believe I can control my child per se, and nor do I really want to, because I find that gross. I want them to be their own person and I don't want to ignore their needs. Then it's like, okay, I might have the best intentions of doing a masterclass when my kid is not even 4 months old at whatever, 8 p.m. But if she's screaming for me, I'm not going to ignore that, right? So yeah, I just had to let go, I realized, of coming back to all this on like the timeline that I thought I should, and I guess this is just what surrender is sometimes. And I think maybe sometimes for us people that are really ambitious and like to get a lot of things done, sometimes the surrender can feel like laziness almost. But then I'm like, I can't have days where I'm just running on caffeine and adrenaline and feeling like a chicken with my head cut off. Like I can't do that for like weeks at a time. I know that's not sustainable. I am someone that has experienced like burnout, and why would I want to replicate that in a life where, for the most part, I get to choose what I do with my time? Obviously, that's different now that I have a baby, but before I created a life where I can pretty much do things on my own terms. So why am I going to throw that all away? Right? And yeah, Sonia really reminded me, like, to just do things for myself when I can, right? Working on my business, as much as I enjoy it, is not entirely for me, right? Like I love it, and it definitely gives me things in return, and I love helping people. But when my cup is empty, like no drops left, that's not going to really work, and that's not going to be good for anyone involved, right? So yeah, I'm just going to take things a little slower than I envisioned or that I thought I could. And I'm just not into the pushing and forcing. I've definitely talked about that before on this podcast, probably in the flow episode of the podcast, which was in the Reclaim Activate Flow series, probably in September, maybe September, October kind of vibe. Anyway, yeah, that's just where we're at. And I really just want to be okay with being more vulnerable. Again, like I don't need to share absolutely everything, but it doesn't serve me to like hide such big parts of myself, because maybe in sharing them, you feel less alone. You feel inspired to share things that you've been keeping in, whatever it is. You know what I mean? I think I just, I want to put at least some of my cards on the table, and not like hold them all so close to my chest all of the time. And I guess I was doing that to protect myself, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But I think maybe I was putting some walls up, to be honest. And I was just reading this book by Louise Hay and this other guy. I'm so sorry, I can't remember his name. I think Robert something, but it's called Life Loves You. And I was reading the chapter on receiving, and it was really interesting because they were talking about being super independent in a way that's problematic and independent in a way that is beneficial. And there's like kind of a spectrum. And some of us can be so independent because we've been hurt and we're just like, no, I can do it all on my own. But then when we go so far in that direction, we're not letting people help us. We're not letting God help us. We're not letting love, that kind of energy, help us. We're not able to receive because we have all these walls up. And that's not my vibe, And I would tell myself that's not my vibe. Oh, I'm open to receive. I want help, blah, blah, blah. But then the way I was kind of acting was countering that. You know what I mean? And I've also noticed since giving birth, I'm just able to share more of myself in a way that feels really good. Because I noticed sometimes with friends I had here that I maybe like still kind of getting to know, I would hold back on sharing things and just kind of be more of a listener and commenter. But then I'm like, this is kind of strange if I'm like barely ever saying anything about myself. And again, I think it was a protection mechanism. And also, I am someone who has been quite a perfectionist in my life. And I think control is one thing that a perfectionist loves. And so I think not sharing certain things was like controlling this image of myself that I wanted to project. But that's no fun. And again, as I said earlier on this episode, the people that I love and admire and think are amazing are extremely themselves, extremely authentic. They might not, again, share every little minute detail of their life, like what they ate for breakfast and what their poop was like. But they're just them in whatever they're sharing, and in what they're doing. And I strive to be more like that instead of just like, I'm perfect Bianca, nothing is wrong. Everything is fine, it's just not true. We're always going through something, even if it's not big or there's something weighing on our hearts that we gotta share in a way. And one thing that really has helped me recently is is writing, is journaling. And I haven't really been doing it pen to paper. And I do prefer pen to paper because in some ways I'm a Luddite and I love being a Luddite. But I've been doing it on this thing called 750 words. I think the website is just 750words.com. And they have monthly writing challenges where you commit to writing every day for the month. And the idea is you write 750 words a day in general. And you get little confetti once you finish your words, which is very fun. So I actually wrote every day in the month of February on my computer. And I usually did this at night after baby goes to sleep. And it was just a really good way of getting all the shit out and of realizing what's bothering me and of being okay with what's bothering me. Like, honestly, there were times in the past couple years where like I wanted to vent about something and I wouldn't. I would just like really keep it in. And actually I went to a really cool practitioner, I guess it was in the summer. And I think the kind of stuff he did was called like biofeedback. I think it was like biofeedback, bioresonance, something like this. I always forget what it's called. But essentially he kind of just like, for the most part, like held my head and just like sensed things. And I think like manipulated the energy in my body. It sounds like really trippy, but it definitely did something. And at the end of the session, when we were debriefing, he's like, you need to express your emotions. You're holding them in. He's like, you just need to share them with people. You don't have to get advice or have them comfort you or anything. Like, you just need to get them out. And I was like, I thought I was good at that. You know what? Honestly, I wasn't good at it. And it's something I'm still working on. But just recently in the past couple of months, I've been better about like, you know what? If I need to vent a little bit, that's not automatically trauma dumping. That's like sharing things with friends, you know? And my friends are emotionally intelligent enough to be like, you know what? This is a lot for me. If it were to be a lot for them, or if they weren't in a position to like really have a conversation, they'd be like, I can't, I'm so sorry, whatever, I can't do this. So yeah, again, it's this idea of just being real and being okay with sharing things about myself, God forbid. And, maybe part of it is just sometimes I think I have to be this like upstanding spiritual person. And I do really see things through a spiritual lens just based on how things have unfolded for me. I don't know, since like 2018 for sure. I'm just like, I can't not see the spiritual lessons and things and what it's trying to teach me more or less. But that doesn't mean I can't be like, you know what? This is pissing me off. Like, for example, I just got rid of my flat in Berlin. I had a subletter in there for the longest time. And there were things about the getting rid of the flat process that were freaking pissing me off and that are honestly still pissing me off to this day. Because, yeah, I just didn't do things the way I should have with the subletter in terms of like tying up the loose ends. I'm still dealing with the landlord, rental company, Hausverwaltung, whatever you call it in German. The lease ended at the end of December, and I'm still like dealing with stuff to try and get at least some of my deposit back, for the love of God. But this, banal everyday thing is something that I would like barely tell anyone about. But like, hello, we all go through normal human things that like piss us off or that really excite us or interest us, right? It doesn't have to just be like we're sharing negative stuff, I feel like it's important to share like the spectrum, of our emotions with people, right? Because if I can't share things that, deeply upset me or that I'm frustrated about, then do I even really share the things that I'm excited about or the things that I'm proud of or the things, oh my God, I love this show that I was watching, or oh my God, I saw this funny thing, whatever it is. Anyway, I honestly yesterday was just exasperated with myself. I'm just like, I'm keeping all this shit in. I tell myself I'm real and authentic, but am I really, And that's something I'm more aware of now and I actively want to change. Yeah. So that was a lot. Am I going to keep it at that for now? Are there other things I want to say? I guess I'll say this. Part of the reason I felt especially motivated to, get back to work, get back to all the life forces stuff sooner rather than later is I need money, like straight up. And I don't do this strictly for money. Obviously, I enjoy it a lot. I love helping people understand themselves. I love understanding people more. Like if I can look at someone's astrology and human design, I have a blast with it because I'm like, oh, this is why the way you are. This is why you are the way you are. And that is amazing. And now I know how to be a better friend or mentor or whatever it is to you. Anyway, I'm obsessed with it. And actually, almost 2 years ago now, actually, like basically around the time that I had my pregnancy loss, my friend set up an appointment with this healer for me. We did it like online and we just went through everything because I was having a really tough time. And she was like, you are here because you really just want to understand people. That's your gift. You really just want to deeply understand people. And I know when I strip everything away, that's what I like about what I do. Is just I love understanding people. I love all the details. I love the nitty-gritty of it all. And it's really easy for me to get caught up in okay, how do I have a business? I still honestly don't exactly know how, in the sense of like, how do I make consistent income from this, right? That's why I got a part-time job. So I don't have to come at all of you with this like desperate energy, like, please book a session with me. Like, I don't like that, If you want to work with me, I'd love to have you. If you're not sure, that's okay. I'm not trying to convince you to do anything you don't want to do, right? Yeah, but at the essence of everything life forces is just like, I like understanding people and things deeply. And I like learning different modalities of understanding the world, right? Whether that's human design, astrology, Ayurveda, anything. Love it. So interested in all of it. And yeah, so I guess back to the money thing is like, I am very lucky and we are very lucky because my husband has paid paternity leave for 9 months and then he had some extra time. So essentially he has almost a year off of work, which is extremely helpful. And so because of that, then I'm like, oh, well, if he's not working, then I can work a little bit, right? Well, sort of, but it was delusional of me and naive of me to think that I could go back to exactly how things were pre having a child that needs me a lot. And yeah, I was just like foot on the gas, not even really looking where I was going, maybe even hands off the wheel, to be honest, when it came to just like, okay, let's just like get started again and do this. And I still do have a lot of ideas for this business and what I want to share and how I want to do things differently. But I have accepted that it's not the right time to go full speed ahead, or really it just might not be the right time. It's not the right time to do a live masterclass this month for sure. Maybe it'll change next month. I don't know. I have to see how things go. Yeah. But because I'm personally, not, on the family level, but I'm personally not in a great financial situation, I put more pressure on myself to remedy the situation. But despite my great intentions to remedy the situation ASAP, the reality of what's happening is I am a mother. Baby needs me. It's still very early on, right? So I have just I guess since yesterday, kind of come to terms with that and am more at peace with it. And it's very funny because this kind of reminded me of where the lunar nodes are at astrologically. So let's, throw a little astrology in the mix. Why not? So from January this year, the North Node shifted into Pisces, and then the South Node shifted into Virgo. And the North Node is what we are moving towards collectively, our destiny, all of that. And the South Node is what we need to let go of. So what we all need to let go of and move away from a little bit is this Virgo obsession with control and details and planning, and everything has to go a certain way. And letting ourselves move into surrender, letting ourselves understand what surrender is. Because honestly, I've read so many spiritual books and I feel like I'm relearning what it is every single day, right? But Pisces is very much about the bigger picture, understanding how everything is connected, living in that oneness, living in that flow, living in those emotions, embracing creativity that's maybe a little bit messy, right? So that's something also to keep in mind as a layer of what's coloring life right now. And that started January 12th and will last until July 26th of next year. And then, of course, we have eclipse season coming up, which arguably already started with the new moon in Pisces, but that wasn't an eclipse. But then we have the full moon in Virgo coming up. Let me look at when exactly that is. The lunar eclipse in Virgo. I'm typing away. March 14th we have. Yeah. We have the lunar eclipse in Virgo, and then I think after that there's a solar eclipse in Aries. I'm not looking at precise dates right now. Sorry, my friends. But yeah, that is something to keep in mind as well. So, to conclude, I hope you enjoyed this mishmash of an episode. Arguably the most real, actually what's happening in my life episode I've ever recorded. So, feel pretty proud of myself, to be honest. I would love, if any of this resonated with you, you can send me a little DM on Instagram at Life Forces Inc. If you prefer email, Bianca at lifeforcesinc.com. And if you want to support me, you can rate, review the show, share it with someone, subscribe. Oh, and also I should mention that one of the things I want to focus more of my energy on is this creative project that I started 4 years ago, which is a writing project, I'll just say for now. And I also realized I want to write more. That's what I've done since I could write, is just write. And I had a career in journalism before this. And yeah. So I want to be able to write things that isn't just my newsletter that's, very marketing based. So I have a Substack now, which is just lifeforces.substack.com. So you should be able to subscribe there. I'll put the link in the show notes, but I would love if you follow my journey there. I already have 15 things I want to write for the Substack. So let's see how that goes. But as my priority is now my child, I'm just really open with the way things are going. I'm not trying to rush anything. I'm not trying to be I have to do this weekly or show up for this at this time. That's just not my life right now, and I've accepted it. But get on that Substack, lifeforces.substack.com. Let's see how that goes. Would love to share with you there. Would love to have your feedback there. And yeah, you can support me by sharing this podcast, subscribing to the Substack. And I think I'm also going to have some kind of donations open. So if you ever, read your horoscope from me or got value from something I shared on social media and you have a little something you can throw back my way, would be deeply, deeply, deeply appreciated. Anyway, I love you all. Can't believe I've talked this much, but needed to share this all with you. And yeah, I will be on here sometime soon and talk to you later. Bye.